The reason being is because it's really easy to find the central sulcus. Tell me if you agree. Okay. Can you see where the central sulcus is? Because someone pointed out, I really wish I did have 8 arms. So, octopus. There you go. Look, I'll make you. There. That's the central sulcus. Central sulcus, perfect. So once you find the central sulcus, you got like 5 structures up your sleeve, right? Because you go central sulcus, and then we know this is the front of the brain, right? So we go, that gyrus is called what? Precentral gyrus, perfect. And then this one's called the postcentral gyrus. And then there's a sulcus behind this one and a sulcus in front of this one. So this sulcus right here is called the precentral sulcus, correct. And this one's called the postcentral sulcus. So it goes sulcus gyrus, sulcus gyrus, sulcus, right? Then you go like aces. And we also know that the central sulcus is the divisor, that's the frontal lobe, and then the parietal lobe, right? And then so we know how to identify the lobes, which is one of the questions, right? And then this is the temporal lobe right here. And how do we determine where the occipital and parietal are differentiated? We look for a sulcus, right? But we can only see the sulcus, this is called a medial aspect, right? And so we're kind of looking from the midline. Can you see that structure right there? That's called the parieto-occipital sulcus. 2 O's, right? So that's now the occipital lobe, and that's the parietal that's just going to there, right? There's one more lobe. What's the other lobe? The insula. Where do we find that? Inside somewhere. So here's the temporal lobe, correct? And what's that structure called right there if I pulled it open? What's that structure called? The lateral, cerebral, fissure, or sulcus. Either one is fine, because it's kind of deep. And if I pulled this back like that, there's the insula right there. And secretly, it's just the outermost portion of that, right? So there's our 5 lobes, right? And then, for example, for this one, this is a little harder because it's actually more realistic. So where is the central sulcus on this one? I'll help you out. If you start, I'll move it in the right direction. Like, yep, keep going. Perfect. That's perfect. That's the central sulcus. So that's the precentral gyrus. Perfect, right? So then you figured that out. And here there's a cut that's artificial, right? And sometimes there's a blood vessel sitting in the sulcus there, but that's where it is, right? And on that picture I'll show in a minute, it's really a nice model, and that one's really nicely labeled, if I do say so myself. So that's good. So we just went through the 5 lobes.